Before we get into the specifics of the build, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. It helps the channel a lot and I appreciate it. Also, I'm live on Twitch every single day at twitch.tv/screamheart, so please come by and join the stream. So how does this build work? We're going to want to start off in our passive tree. This is our Chronomancer Ascendancy, and it's giving us cooldown reduction, 33% chance to not consume a cooldown, more cooldown reduction, and time snap. Time snap resets all of our cooldowns, and that includes multiple charges of a cooldown. As you can see in my time snap, I have increased cooldown recovery rate, and this just allows me to use time snap more often. The goal is that time snap will always be what we use to reset Hammer of the Gods, and we're never waiting for Hammer of the Gods cooldown. Hammer of the Gods, on the other hand, has Second Wind, which is increasing our cooldown, but giving us 2 charges. That's why we see those 2 charges there. Even with just this setup and not being a fully progressed character, I'm already able to almost consistently keep my Hammer of the Gods up. And Hammer of the Gods has insane damage. You see it says 7,646. Well, my single target damage is 2,496. So as long as you're able to cast this, you're doing tons of damage. And the AoE is pretty large. And keep in mind, I only have 3 out of 5 of my gems. We're going to be able to optimize this really well. As you saw at the beginning, this build is doing crazy damage, and I've barely even begun to perfect it. Right now I'm level 54 on my Chronomancer, so I've only had 2 levels of actually having Hammer of the Gods to play on it. Now, if this is something you're interested in doing, you're going to have to start from the Sorceress part of the tree and waste multiple points working your way down to where you can start getting bonuses to melee damage. But it won't be a complete waste because along the way you can grab strength, which will allow you to put on your weapons, not to mention use your gems. Now, if I were going to start fresh again, I probably wouldn't do what I did, which was beeline it all the way to this side of the tree. Instead, I would have gone up here, started by grabbing some intelligence and respect it later, grabbed raw power, and then an element of your choice. This will give you a strong early start, and you can use some spells until you make your way over. After you grab those, once you've made it all the way down here and you're able to pick up Smash, that's when you can respec out of these and use those points to also grab Crushing Verdict. Between those two, you'll feel pretty strong. Now, I would recommend to experiment with all of the skills so you can get an idea of what's what, but what I leveled up with was Earthquake at the start and then quickly moved into Molten Blast. Yes, this is a ranged ability, but this is what worked best for me at the time. However, I've learned how to play the class better, so what I would recommend you do is go Bone Shatter, and this will be your main source of AoE damage. And you're actually not going to use a skill for your single target damage. If you're in your gem tree and you go to the top, you can see Mace Strike. This is your base auto attack. And this is actually extremely strong. I still use this to kill bosses, or at least I did until I got Hammer of the Gods. Now I only use it if I happen to run out of cooldowns. So on your Mace Strike, make sure you've got something that adds damage. It works well to add overpower so you can stun faster. And if you have enough stun buildup, you can just basic attack with this once on an enemy. Then you can use Bone Shatter to blast that enemy and kill everything in the area. On your Bone Shatter, you're going to want to use Impact Shockwave. This one's very important. And I also really like Exploit Weakness. I also used a Shockwave Totem, which has saved my butt many times. You can use this to block projectiles, and it also helps you stun enemies. I use Leaf Slam to escape from enemies if they happen to body block me. And then if you have some Spirit, you can do Time of Need or Overwhelming Presence. You're pretty safe to use recommended gems for almost all of these. There's not many others that are good. Now, this isn't going to be the final guide for this build. In fact, I might do multiple over the course of time as I'm learning it. Like I said, I've been on this for an hour because I just hit level 52. So there's plenty of time for me to optimize it. A little note, the Shockwave Totem is very nice if you can get the 80% increased totem placement speed, martial tempo so it attacks faster, and pin so it holds enemies in place. You can pop this down right before or right after you cast your Hammer of the Gods, in the same spot as you're aiming so that the enemies get stuck there, or you can just stand there. In fact, I think using a one-handed weapon and a shield might be the way to go with this build, not only because the one-handed weapon attacks faster and this is a bit of a sluggish ability to get out, but also I think the gameplay might be to drop the Hammer of the Gods and then hold your shield and wait for it to fall down, at least for packs of mobs, because you're one-shotting those. However, on bosses, what I like to do is use my Mace Strike, build up the stun within one hit, cast my Hammer of the Gods on top of the boss, Bone Shatter the boss so that the boss is stunned and armor broken, and then drop multiple Hammer of the Gods until I run out, reset, and drop multiple more. As you can see in this clip, I do this and it takes half of the boss's health off. And like I said, I haven't even optimized this. And just so you're aware, this is a boss at my level, not a lower boss. This is a boss in Act 5, or Cruel Act 2. Now in the passive tree, I'm mostly grabbing two-handed weapon stuff, but like I said, I might change to one-handed. I think I'd rather have the attack speed and the shield, but I'm gonna have to experiment with it and see how I feel. Grab any cooldown reduction you can get, and especially the ones that have area of effect like this, and the one down here. The area of effect is extremely useful, and a little more cooldown reduction here. Another one I'm gonna be grabbing soon is Split the Earth. This is a 10% chance to aftershock for slam skills you use with maces. There's also 20% more damage against enemies that are heavy stunned with maces. So this would play really well into the combo I was just talking about. For your gear, you actually have a lot of different options. I've basically just been using whatever is best, but I'll give you some basics in case you're new to the game. So first and foremost, you need to make sure you have enough attributes to actually wear any equipment that you have, and also any gems that you're using. In addition to being able to use stuff because of your attributes, your strength's giving you 2 life, your dexterity is giving you 5 accuracy, and your intelligence is giving you 2 mana. So they're not really giving you too much, they're a little bit trivial. So the main thing is hitting your requirements. I've opted for mostly armor, and I also went for a two-handed weapon, but as I've mentioned, you can go for a one-handed weapon and a shield. And then besides armor, you're going to want to look for your resistances so you can get as much as possible. Some HP is good, movement speed on boots is extremely good, plus levels to melee skills, plus increased physical damage, attack speed, physical leech, mana leech. There's all kinds of stuff that you can get. I'll do a deep dive breakdown when I get further along with the build. And just to make sure I didn't leave you guys hanging on any of these gems, for the Mace Strike, I have Concentrated Effect, Overpower, Heavy Swing. On Time Snap, I have Ingenuity. On Hammer of the Gods, I have Brutality, Second Wind, and Inevitable Critical. On Bone Shatter, I have Impact Shockwave, Exploit Weakness, and Close Combat. Close Combat's not the best choice here, but it's the only one I had at the time. On Shockwave, I've got Ancestral Urgency, Martial Tempo, and Pin. On Leap Slam, I've got Inspiration and Holy Descent. On Time of Need, I have Fast Forward and Vitality. And on Overwhelming Presence, I have Clarity. I should probably also mention that for my additional points whenever I do more Ascension, I'm planning on putting them over into these other skills, because these skills also have a chance to not consume a cooldown and will also be reset whenever I use Time Snap, whereas these other ones are not synergizing, but I'll test it and let you know. Now this build isn't even close to optimized, so I'd love it if you come by twitch.tv/screamheart. I'm gonna be live every single day, and I'm gonna be working on perfecting this build. You can ask me questions, you can give me your own tips if you happen to have some, or you can just hang out and have some fun. But either way, thanks for watching you guys, and I'll see you in my next video.